Now this is really exciting. Is Ukraine going to get NATO jets? Ukraine has been calling for high-end fighter jets since the beginning of the invasion, yet no official transfers have been made so far. Poland and other former Eastern Bloc countries had delivered spare parts for fighters Ukraine has already operated. These were mostly parts for the MiG-29 fighter jet, which is currently operated by Poland and Slovakia. The US Air Force also had MiG-29s in stock, but their present state is unknown. You see, they purchased them back in the 1990s from Moldova, a former Soviet republic, in an attempt to prevent Moldova from selling them to Iran. The US Air Force has also used them to examine their weapons and combat capabilities. Likely, most of these old MiGs have been scrapped, and even if some spare parts were sent to Ukraine, they are unlikely to cause any meaningful difference. What could make an actual difference are Western modern fighters. According to available information, Ukraine now has only a few dozen aircraft, consisting solely of Soviet Sukhois and MiG-29s. Ukraine has kept American-made FIGs on its weapons wish list since the Russian invasion last year, and given they are ubiquitous in NATO, they are thought to be the most likely fighters to be transferred to Ukraine. But the United States has been sending mixed signals about donating F-16 fighters to Ukraine. In the latest report, both the US and the UK have ruled out such transfer, stating that it's not practical to send them to Ukraine to bolster its fight against Russia. Both countries are arguing that training pilots and building the infrastructure necessary to operate such aircraft are not feasible. A couple of days back, however, Britain's Prime Minister offered training for Ukrainian pilots, but no particular information about the aircraft on which Ukrainian pilots will be trained on, or if Ukraine will be provided with some aircraft by the UK, has been given. But, and fortunately, there is a but, the transfer has not been ruled out definitely by French President Emmanuel Macron. To be exact, he said that nothing is excluded when being asked about France sending jets to Ukraine. The backbone of the French Air Force is the Dassault Rafale, and though it's hard to compare aircraft side by side, we believe that in general, it's a better aircraft than the F-16. But Macron has also made it clear that no military aid provided by France can have the potential to limit the capabilities of the French army itself. And sadly, the Rafale fighters are nowhere as numerous as the F-16s, so we doubt that even if a donation was made, it would not be in any very significant number, and definitely not the coming months. But there is one more player who could turn the tide, and that is Poland. You see, Poland has been a significant player in the arms deliveries to Ukraine. For example, when pushing Germany to allow and participate in the recently announced delivery of Leopard 2 tanks, Polish Air Force operators both American F-16s and modernized MiG-29s. But even if Poland and other Eastern European countries were positive about donating the jets, the US still has the right to veto the transfer. It really reminds us of the Leopard 2 situation, but honestly, it is unclear to whether NATO is really so scared of escalation, or if there are some other reasons behind this reluctance from the biggest NATO countries like the US or Germany. We naturally know that the US by far has been the biggest donor of equipment to Ukraine, but you get the point, right? So wouldn't it be a solution to provide Poland and Slovakia, who are both ready to transfer the MiG-29s, with F-16s from the US? These would be an immediate help for the Ukrainian Air Force, as their pilots and maintenance crews already operate them, and in the meantime, Ukrainian pilots could start training on some NATO platforms, most likely the F-16, not the Rafale or the Typhoon. We just wish it's done as fast as possible since Ukraine really needs support for spring, which will be, dare we say, the moment which will decide the final development of the war, as both Ukraine and Russia are preparing for a large offensive, and literally every help counts, especially something so important as fighter jets. And lastly, we really think that NATO should not really fear the escalation as much as it claims it does. Hey, tanks were once considered an escalation, and here we are, with numerous tank deliveries announced. Let's just not be blind to the fact that without Western weapons, Ukraine is not very likely to win.